Oh, do you have our poll results?
I can get it. And we're live here on, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, now we're live. Okay.
All right.
We're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land and everyone watching on YouTube, as well as Rich, by the way. We are in the same location this week. So, yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing good. Escaping the snowmageddon that we got in the quad that's going on in the Quad Cities now.
Yeah.
Currently.
The one problem, though, is you are in for frigid temperatures, as our high here in Esterville is going to be around -2.
I'll take that over having to go outside and shovel snow, though.
Okay. I have a snowblower and a plow on a John Deere tractor. I don't really deal with that much snow. So, okay. We have a good show and a sad show and all-in-one show. So let's get to it. We are going to talk about the year in review. Yeah, sad news to talk about on that front, especially. And then national championship semifinals.
Yes, as well as 2 weeks of coverage on the NFL since we took last week off. I think we're gonna have to make that an annual thing. I kind of liked having that break for Christmas instead of having to kind of scramble to figure out what day we're gonna record.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice.
With or without, even if Christmas doesn't fall on a weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Because weekends tend to get busy around Christmas. So
they do.
But we are here today, and we'd like to welcome all of you guys. And Rich, let these people know what it's time to do.
It's time to roll the intro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.
All right, and we are back. As Mikey gave me a little hand gesture that the intro is over, since we can't hear it over the microphones. So, Mike, we had a poll question that went 2 weeks.
Yep.
Since we didn't do an episode this week. So while you're bringing that up on the Facebook page, the poll was barbecue ribs or pulled pork for your tailgate. I went with pulled pork. Mike, what did you go with?
I went with pulled pork as well.
All right. I mean, I've always kind of viewed barbecue ribs as kind of like something that you got to sit down and have a table with.
I agree. I think
it can get messy. Your hands get messy. Which can cause your what you're wearing to get messy at times.
And cleaning up afterwards is always a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Pulled pork is where it's at, and that's where we both voted. By the way, 12 people voted in favor of pulled pork this week. 3 votes for barbecue ribs. Your father-in-law, my mother, and Matt Erickson, friend of the show, all voted for ribs. I don't know if they got that this was supposed to be for tailgating and not for necessarily just everyday eating.
But it's all good because it could go down with because we did have to lay that caveat that it is sometimes couch gating as well, not just taking them to the stadium to have before you go into the game. So this week's poll, which will go live once we get off of the air, will be pork chops versus chicken wings.
Oh, yeah.
And then based on how that poll goes, then we will know how the seeding will start for the next round. So
nice.
So 2 weeks ago's poll will be determined after we know the results of pork chops and chicken wings.
Okay. So, let's get into the NFL. We have a lot to talk about with the NFL.
We do.
We have 2 whole weeks of review and a week of preview. So, we'll start in week 15, where the Bears played the Vikings. We both thought the Bears would come out on top. They probably should have. But alas, the Vikings come out victorious, leaving the Bears record that week to 4-10. Rich, you are sitting at 9-5 in picks, and I am sitting at 10-4.
Yes, lead lock of the week. My record of picking the Buccaneers as a lock continues to be a curse for me, as the Buccaneers lost 9-0 to the Saints.
Yeah,
that was a surprising game. I was really
I'm probably shouldn't. I should probably tag Tom Brady, and he'll probably pay you to not pick them, as that's not been working for him.
No, that was a low-scoring game, but he did have a lot of his normal weapons out. I'd say lost Chris Godwin for the year.
Yeah.
Mike Evans got injured.
Ooh, yeah.
So I think he was basically down to the second-string running back, Rojo.
Yep. And
Gronkowski and some lesser-known wide receivers.
Yeah.
So good on the Saints defense, though.
I mean, he's done more with less.
He has.
So either way, I mean, it's still one of those things. You can't win them all.
No. And the Saints have always been a little bit of a thorn in the side of the Buccaneers organization.
Always. Before Brady got there, it had been, and it's continued with Brady being there. A lot of times you hear, well, that's our Super Bowl. That kind of feels like the Saints especially this year, as bad as the Saints are doing. This feels like their Super Bowl.
Yeah. Did you see the meme that when Tom Brady threw the tablet, even the tablet got picked off as they had a Saints player come in there and grab the tablet.
Oh, man. I did not see it, but I like it. I picked the Bills over the Panthers that week, as the Bills beat the Panthers 31-14. Upset special, Rich, you picked the Raiders over the Browns. You got it right, as the Raiders win 16-14. Such a close game. Good game. Outcome in your favor, making you 5-10 that week. And then I picked the Broncos over the Bengals.
Yes, you did.
And the Bengals won 15-10. Rich, how was Thursday night football that week?
Thursday night football saw the Titans beat the 49ers on a last-second game-winning field goal. So you got that one right, improving your Thursday and ending your Thursday night football record at 15-3. I had the 49ers in that game, so I end Thursday night football at 14-4.
So Rich, you on that day said, excuse me, you said that day you thought that you were picking it as a way to differentiate who would win and who would take the lead, but you also liked the 49ers. Was it did you feel confident in that pick, or was it just you wanting to be a different pick than I did?
No, I really did feel good about the 49ers. They were on a hot streak, and I guess Jimmy G just had a bad night, and I think he also got partially injured in that game as well.
Yes,
he's out this coming week. They're gonna start rookie Trey Lance against the Texans this week. So he had a thumb injury, so he was playing injured in that game.
Yeah, I agree. Good game. I mean, anytime it comes down to a last-second field goal, it's always a good game. And good to see the Titans win. Helps me out a bit. Then we move on to Week 16, where the Bears and the Seahawks play. The Seahawks lost at home.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. 5 years ago, that was unheard of. Now it's not a common thing. They actually lose more games at home than on the road.
Yeah, and it was with third-string quarterback Nick Foles.
Yeah, Nick Foles.
Center.
The Bears win 25-24 over the Seahawks. You and I both picked the Seahawks.
Rightfully so.
I mean, 100%. Which means the Bears are 5-10 on the year. I am 10-5. Rich, you are 9-6.
But in all fairness, if they hadn't gotten that 2-point conversion,
to
get the lead,
yeah,
no harm, no foul.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think at this point the Bears have anything to lose.
Nope.
So why not?
You got nothing to lose. No reason to not go for it.
No amount of wins these final 3 weeks is going to save Matt Nagy's job. It might save Ryan Pace's job, but not Matt Nagy's. So why not? good for the Bears on making that last 2-point conversion call.
Yep.
And giving a Christmas present to Bears fans everywhere.
Yeah. The lock of the week, Rich. You picked the Chiefs over the Steelers correctly as the Chiefs win 36-10. Rich, who did I pick?
You picked the Rams over the Vikings, and the Rams pulled out a victory, winning 30-23, making me 12-4 on locks. You're 13-3. The upset special. Mike, your upset, which you chose not to change before Week 16 kicked off, saw you picked the Jaguars over the Jets. The Jets, Jets, pulled out a win, 26-21, dropping you to 6-10. I changed my upset pick and put it on the comment thread, as we agreed.
Yep.
And I chose the Colts over the Cardinals. The Colts won 22-16.
Your original upset was?
The Broncos over the Raiders.
And how'd that go?
I believe the Raiders won that game.
I think they did too. Okay, I mean we're both 6-10, not doing great on upsets, but that's kind of the idea. We're picking teams that we expect that probably should lose, but we're saying this is if there's going to be an upset, this will likely be the upset for the week. Now we are heading into the second to last game of the year, Week 17. We're used to this being the end. We get one extra week. Oh yeah, you got to tell me.
Why don't we go to the pick'em?
Ooh.
Before we go into Week 17.
You had to bring that up. Oh,
I did. Man. I had to. I'm finally picked up some ground on you.
Yeah. We did not think this would happen. And, weekly performance, Rich. You won 2 weeks in a row, earning a 12 and a 13 on weeks that I did 7 and 9.
Yeah. How did so did you finish third in both weeks?
Finished third in 1 week. The other week I kept a 1-game win over Midget Nation. JR, thanks for participating yet again. Week 17, folks. We have 2 more weeks. Rich, you are behind me by 1 game.
Yes, sir.
1 game.
Really pick it up, and the fun won't stop at when the regular season ends. As it will continue into the playoffs as well. So don't forget to so Midget Nation, don't forget to make your picks. For the playoffs. We will
crown a regular season champion. We maybe we'll try to come up with a prize of some sort. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, that is where we stand there, and yeah. Heading into Week 17, Rich, the Bears have the Giants. How confident you feel on that one?
Ooh. The Giants are playing, I think, worse than the Bears.
Yep.
But this week, the Giants can't lose.
No.
If they lose to the Bears, their own draft pick improves. If they beat the Bears, the Bears draft pick, which goes to the Giants, improves.
Yeah. Yeah, they are in a no-lose situation. I still think the Bears win.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay, lock of the week. It is an odd week, the last odd week of the year. I get to make the first pick. I'm picking the Bucks over the Jets.
Not a bad pick. I wouldn't have made that pick because the Bucks seem to lose every time that I pick them, so I'm done picking the Buccaneers.
Okay.
To win until they get to the playoffs.
Yep.
When we have to pick them, when we have to pick the matchup. So I don't know how I feel about making this pick since I'm in Viking country.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Packers over the Vikings.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins won't be playing because he has the COVID.
Got the vid.
Yep. But they do get Dalvin Cook back.
Okay.
But without a competent quarterback play, it's hard to win in the NFL. So and you got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Upset special of the week. I'm picking the Dolphins over the Titans. The Dolphins look like a scrappy team.
they're entering on a good winning streak.
Yeah, and the Titans, they don't look so hot right now. They're not terrible, but they're not a hot team right now.
Yeah, I think the Titans probably. Well, I think both teams need to win.
They-
I mean, the Titans
yeah.
are going for trying to hold off the Colts in the division.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are trying to stay in the wild card hunt. Not a bad pick. I like it. I'm going with a matchup that's kind of borderline on that 50-50 split.
Yep.
It's a division game, but it also is going to be Big Ben's last home game since supposedly he's going to retire at the end of the year. I don't think the team wants to see Big Ben lose his final home game, so I'm going to go Steelers over the Browns. Also, the Browns haven't looked that good lately either.
Yeah, they've been dropping a few. We are in the no Thursday night football anymore season.
Yeah.
So no Thursday night football to pick this week, which means that our picks are basically our Thursday night rankings of
I gave those
14-4 and 15-3 in favor of me are locked in place.
Yep.
I win the regular season Thursday night football.
Yes,
picks.
I read the schedule wrong. The Bills and the Falcons did not play on Thursday this week.
Do we want to make that a game that we pick anyway?
We did last week, but let's not. Let's not.
Okay.
If there was a tiebreaker, where if we needed to break a tie, we could have used that. But let's not.
Okay.
I'll give you the victory. You beat me fair and square on that. There's no tie to break.
Yeah. Let me. Do I move my power rankings? Or did I close my power rankings? Apparently, I closed my power rankings.
All right. So power rankings. So Mike, did you make? You posted it.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day or around Christmas Day, so
Yep.
you did make your power rankings, even on our bye week.
Yep. And so did you.
So did I.
Yep. And we kept it up to date. We'll do that again next year. I think that worked well.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we are heading into the power rankings for week 17. Rich, you are in full. Are they making the playoffs mode at this point? You don't care about anything else right now, do you?
Yes, I'm sticking. I told you last week that that's why I chose to rank the first 14 teams based off of playoff standings. So if you didn't make the playoff, if you were not in a position to be in the playoffs, if the regular season had ended 3 weeks early, the highest you could go was 15.
Yeah, but I got a problem with that.
Okay, is it too early to do that?
No, I don't think it necessarily is. But you're telling me I'm trying to think of a good one here.
Baltimore is probably a good example of that.
Yeah. Baltimore is better than
Philly or San Francisco.
Yeah, Philly. Baltimore is better than Philly. You think Baltimore is a better team than Philadelphia?
I do not, but for me, it's this time of year where you're starting to look at the standings to see, all right, how many games are we out of the playoffs, or are we in a playoff position? So do we need to win the next 2 games to keep the spot, or what do we need to do to make the playoffs? So at this point of the season, playoff positioning matters to me. So that's why I'm choosing to take this type of action.
Okay. It's going to be a rough. I did it in purely looking at who I think is best.
Yeah. So by all means, I totally get it. Probably right when we get around. I'm just guessing here, but I'm going to say 10 is when we start seeing our big gaps. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But let's start at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Is anybody on the level that Aaron Rodgers is right now?
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are starting to play like we thought they would all year.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch them coming back and becoming that team.
But yeah, in the NFC, but right now, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you don't pick the Packers to finish number 1.
Yeah.
And if they beat the Vikings, like I think they will, they're probably going to stay at number 1, regardless of what the Chiefs do.
I almost wonder. Here's a question. As Green Bay, now I know that being at home is huge for them.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't you prefer to go to Tampa in a month? Wouldn't you prefer to go to... I guess Tampa's the only one that they don't... Wouldn't you prefer to go to Dallas in a couple of weeks?
No. I'm sorry. I think that home field advantage in the...
As a
in
fan,
the snow,
if I
in
was
the cold, is a big advantage for the Packers.
If I was a fan of the Packers, which I'm not, but if I was, that, for me, I prefer to go to Dallas or Tampa for a game.
As a fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, wanting to sit out in the
negative 40
the warm
degrees
weather, but
it's going to be negative like 5 degrees at kickoff tomorrow.
But your team knows how to play in those elements. The visiting team doesn't have as much experience.
I suppose.
Number 2, Mike, speaking of the Chiefs, that's where I put them.
You know what? I couldn't put them there.
Okay.
Dallas is astounding me this year. I'm not a Dallas fan. Never been a Dallas fan. You always make fun of me for how low I put Dallas in the rankings.
But not this year. You've been doing really well.
This team is a great team. I'm shocked, by the way. The power rankings have Green Bay as number 1. ELO has Green Bay as number 2. Just so everybody knows. I'm shocked at how good the Dallas Cowboys have been. They are ranked 7 in the ELO, 5 in the power rankings. You have them 3. I have them 2. I just gave your next step away.
That's
anyway.
okay. Who'd you put at number 3?
Number 3, I put the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, so we're not that far off.
No.
Number 4, Mike, who'd you put?
Los Angeles Rams.
I went with the Rams as well.
Yeah. And you know what? The power rankings match that. ELO says they're at 6. Yeah. One of their losses is to a not-so-great team, so I suppose I can understand that. But, yeah.
Rounding out the top 5, Mike, I went with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Me too. 100%. I like it. ELO has them at 4, and Power Rankings have them at 3. So to round out your top 5, the Power Rankings have Green Bay Packers, Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Los Angeles Rams, and the Dallas Cowboys. So with the Power Rankings and our rankings, we match up. All of the top 5s match.
All right, Mike. Let's get into the bottom half of the top 10.
Okay.
Number 6, I went with the Buffalo Bills.
Tennessee Titans.
Okay. A little bit of a gap there. We'll get to where I put the Titans.
Yeah. I had a hard time putting them there, but I feel like they kind of need to. They still, especially if you're going into playoff mindset.
Okay.
If you have to travel anywhere cold, you want a running game. And the Titans' running game has not been what it had been at the beginning of the year, but it's still the best running game in the league right now.
But the Bills have been running the football a lot better than what they have been, though.
It's true.
Okay.
They have. Okay, number 7, I have the Buffalo Bills.
I went with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge difference in that pick. I'm telling you, folks, watching them play and the teams they have lost to the last few weeks, that has hurt them immensely. Immensely.
And I can see that.
Immensely.
Okay. So who did you you put the Bills? Number 8, Mike, who'd you put?
Number 8, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. I went
Again, they're a great team. They're just in a division and a conference that is way harder than
they've had a really hard schedule, too.
Yeah, they have.
So, using my logic of if you're not in the playoffs, you can't be in the top 14, that's why the Ravens are not in my top 14.
By the way, your reasoning is 100% valid. I'm 100% okay with your reasoning. I just didn't use it.
Okay. I went with the division-leading Cincinnati Bengals.
Not a bad pick there.
Who beat the Ravens twice.
Yeah, that's true. But at number 9, I have the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, this is where I put the Titans.
Okay, not terrible, but
I just think the teams that I've ranked above them have played better than the Titans.
Okay,
in my opinion.
Number 10,
the Indianapolis Colts.
I agree. I totally agree. Okay, now number 11.
This is where I put the Patriots.
Okay, I agree. Yep. Now I was gonna keep going until we got to it, but
why not? Why not?
Okay, number 12.
The Miami Dolphins.
I have the Raiders.
Okay. Once again, it just comes down to the Dolphins are in a position to make the playoffs, and what a run they've been on. They're the only team in history to go on have a 7-game losing streak and a 7-game winning streak in the same season.
Yeah, that's pretty astounding. Number 13.
All right, here's where we're probably going to have really big differences.
Yeah.
Because they're in a position to make the playoffs, and it could change next week. The Philadelphia Eagles.
Actually, they're not as far down as you would think. But my number 13, the Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh.
Their losses the last few weeks. The second to worst team in the league, or third to worst, depending on where you land. We'll get there in a second. One of the worst teams. They lost to the Lions.
They did.
That in and of itself costs you at least 3 spots. At least 3 spots.
But with the division that they're in.
Just because they're top of their division and they are... No. I don't know. I can't do it. They have not looked like a division winning... They don't look like a division winning team the last 3 weeks. Do you think that...
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
They don't look like they deserve to do it.
The talent's there. I just don't know what's going on.
I can't explain it.
My top 14 ended with the 49ers.
14, I have the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
Let's go to 15. Just
15, the Bolts.
15 is where I have the Eagles, actually.
Okay.
So, not bad. So, but here's the thing. Oh, man. I could keep going about how terrible Arizona... If the talent is there, and the talent has proven itself already, there's only one place to look.
The coach?
I was drinking my water, folks. He said it, not me. But does the way they've looked the last few weeks put Cliff Kingsbury on a bit of a hot seat? Or at least a warm seat. Maybe not hot, but one that somebody else has sat on for a couple of minutes too long, and you get there. And it's like, this is a little warmer than I like it. I like it. It's not bad, but it's just that touch warmer than what I want it to be.
I think it could, but I don't think it's to the point where if they miss the playoffs, he's going to be looking for a new job. He might have to look for some new coordinators.
Yeah,
and maybe evaluate how they play their game. But I think injuries could be playing a part.
Cliff Kingsbury's seat right now is like when you go to a public restroom to take a dump and you didn't know somebody had been there right before you and the seat is still warm.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That's a really weird analogy, but
you know exactly what I'm saying though. Like me explaining it that way, you 100% understand it.
Yeah, I do.
Like, ooh, I don't like this. Like, it's one thing if like your wife was sitting down and you guys went and like you took her seat when she got up, and her
not necessarily the bathroom seat, any seat.
No, not the bathroom seat, but any seat.
Yeah,
that's a little bit different because that's it's my wife's. I'm okay with it. It's not bad. But when it's somebody when it's the bathroom seat and somebody had just been there and you didn't know before you sat down, that is an It's the uncomfortableness that I'm talking about.
Okay. Fair enough.
You want to get off the toilet
seat? That went way farther. Only because we're in the north. Where did you rank the Vikings?
So I have the Vikings at 19.
I put them at 21.
Not a bad spot. I'm not disagreeing with either of those. The Bears?
Number 24.
I have them at 26.
Okay.
And let's go from, speaking of 26, let's just go right to 27. Carolina Panthers.
Agreed.
Okay. 28.
The Texans.
The Giants.
Okay.
29.
The Jets.
The Jets. 30.
The Giants.
The Texans. 31.
The Lions.
The Lions. 32.
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Duval.
Oh man. Those bottom 4 teams, at least, I would say 5. The bottom 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any hope in the future? Looking at those teams right now.
Jacksonville's gonna have to. Their next coach could really determine the direction that their franchise is gonna go.
Yeah.
But it's almost like if you're gonna take that job, you've got to have some guarantees that you're gonna have much like Detroit, that you're gonna have 3 years to where you're not gonna be judged on the results, but more on the players that you're developing.
Yeah.
Because Urban Meyer brought in a specific skill set of players that he wanted, and well, Urban Meyer's no longer there. So there's going to be a little bit of a mess to clean up. Maybe a culture, maybe having to build a new culture for that team, much like Dan Campbell's having to do in Detroit.
Speaking of which, that's the next place I want to go. But let me give you some thoughts on Jacksonville. They have some decent talent there. They do.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a terrible situation this season.
They did.
Just a terrible situation. Which a lot of people said that this is what would happen. A lot of people said Urban Meyers was just a terrible idea. Should have just rode off to the sunset and enjoyed that Fox money. But man,
I thought it would work.
Ooh,
he would need a couple of years to get some footing on it, and I guess he just didn't get those years.
When we explained it, I explained it back when he got fired. And I think that this is where college is heading with the name, image, and likeness stuff happening soon. You can't treat guys that are making millions of dollars like you own them. And that their life depends on your... Even though it does, you can't treat them that way. So, okay. Detroit. You brought up Detroit. You brought up Dan Campbell's change of his personality, the culture of the team. They bought into the concept of a 5-year rebuild this last year. Trading away Matt Stafford, getting draft picks, doing what they're doing. They 100%. This is the first time in our life that it felt like they've actually said, no, we're going to full on rebuild. Yes, they've been a terrible team at times,
but they fought for they very rarely have gotten really
this bad.
But
even when they lost every game in a season, they weren't. They had not committed to, because they still had Matt Stafford. They still had talent in places that yes, you need the talent, but you don't have enough around that talent to do anything with. Right now, they don't have talent.
But they're fighting. They're not giving up. They're fighting through those games. If they lose, if they're losing close.
Yep.
They're very rare. They haven't really gotten blown out too many games this year.
No. And the other side of that is that because they have no talent, they do have a lot of draft capital.
And there are so many holes on that team that they can use the draft strategy of best player available.
100%.
They don't necessarily, because they have Jared Goff for 4 more years. They don't have to necessarily pick a quarterback in a quarterback thin draft this year.
No,
they can say, all right,
best man.
There wasn't a quarterback that we thought deserved a first round pick where we were picking, so we're gonna roll. We're going to roll with Jared Goff another year.
Yeah, and that's fine. And they can roll with Jared Goff and get all the pieces around Jared Goff to then replace Jared Goff when with whoever the next massive star is going to be. And I'm okay with that. This is if I'm Detroit right now, feels like I think next year looks even better for you. The Bears are going to be without Matt Nagy.
Mm-hmm.
There is a very good possibility the Vikings get rid of Mike Zimmer.
I agree.
So there's instability on both of those. Can't count on much. And they didn't look great this year. I think both those teams have some great talent. Neither one showed it. Then you have the likelihood that the number one quarterback right now leaves the team in the North. And Green Bay loses Aaron Rodgers. There's a very good possibility that happens this offseason. More instability in the North. If you're the Lions, yeah, you're sitting at 12 or 10 to 2, 12 and 1. But you add at least one extra divisional game to the Bear. You add at least three more divisional wins. If they only get 3 more divisional wins next year, they sweep one team and they split with the other 2.
I think next year is the year that you'd want to have a top pick next year, though.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
There's going to be a quarterback for them to pick. I think I was listening
100%
to
agree. No.
ESPN radio. I think I was driving home from picking up dinner one night, and they were saying, well, is there a way for the Lions to just pass on this year, their draft pick this year, so they can have a top draft pick next year when there's a better quarterback class?
I'm sure there's ways for them to do it. But either way, if I'm Detroit fans, I'm not worried at all.
At least there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh,
you have hope.
There is huge amounts of hope.
That in year 3 of the Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes regime, you could be looking really good.
They are sitting where the Browns were sitting 3 years ago.
Yep. They came out of a long, hard rebuild, and they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they've been a competitive team since that time.
Yeah. If I'm a Detroit fan, I'm excited. I'm expecting great things in the next year.
All right. Speaking of a little bit of the draft, because a lot of good top prospects were playing in the semifinals matchups. Alabama beat the Cincinnati Bearcats 27-6. Any surprise there?
The Bearcats got 6.
Okay.
I'm surprised they were that into the game.
All right. I mean, the only thing that kind of surprised me with this game is that they started it at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. On
a Saturday.
On a Friday.
Yeah, on a Friday.
The eve of New Year's Eve. I understand you gotta have at least a week between games.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I would have done Saturday to Saturday, not Friday to Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it gets in the way of the New Year's Six Bowls.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would have put both of these games in prime time. Started doing one on Friday night and putting one on Saturday night, and if that means displacing which other game you're going to put in the 7 o'clock time slot as a New Year's Six, and they get bumped to the previous night.
Yeah.
Then so be it. But at the same time, you don't want to. I don't think there were any other bowl games scheduled on Friday, so they wanted the entire attention on those two. I was just surprised that they would start a game.
I was working during that game. I worked the entire game. I got home and you told me what the score was.
And that's all I did too. I was kind of watching it on my phone because I'm not a college football fan, and
I don't have ESPN, folks. I don't have a way to. I don't watch it. I mean, I have ways of watching it, but I choose not to use those because it's not something huge. And then, friend of the show, David Hovinga, been on the show, covered for you when you were out of town one week last year.
No. We the three of us.
Oh yeah, we did it. Yeah.
We're
That's right.
together.
Yep.
But
his team made it to the Final Four. Michigan versus Georgia. Georgia winning 34-11 over Michigan.
Yeah. Now, if Michigan had won, I was almost going to talk with you to see, all right, let's bring them on. Let's have a three. Let's have the third person in the booth so to give a more accurate preview.
Yep. But man, that bummer for them.
Yeah.
But it still was a great year. I mean, they made the playoffs.
They beat Ohio State.
They won the Big Ten. Most years you'll take that. I think the Michigan fans are happy this year. They weren't expecting it to come in and do all of that this year. You got to be thrilled. Okay, MLB news. We have 2 hirings to talk about. Buck Showalter to the Mets. Like it, love it.
I like it.
They're
a win-now team. He's a win-now manager.
Yeah. And then
Mark Kotsay.
Yeah.
Getting hired by the A's to take over Bob Melvin's seat. I believe he was the third base coach last year.
Yep.
So they stay in-house.
Okay. Anything else in that realm that we need to talk about before we transition into our quick hits and then our
year in review?
Year in review.
Let's go to the quick hits or year in review.
Let's do year in review, and we'll stay on Major League Baseball. They're in a strike.
They are.
They're technically in a lockout. Strike doesn't happen until pitchers and catchers report. But they are in a lockout. No real news. Is it going to last until spring training? I
think it will.
Okay. And then on the Major League front, the biggest news for you and I, the Cubs have dismantled their core.
Yeah, the only really real starters remaining, the really only 3 key guys remaining from that 2016 World Series team, Kyle Hendricks, Jason Hayward, sadly, and Wilson Contreras.
Yeah.
Those are your big guys that remain from that starting lineup. Everybody else is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Kyle Hendricks.
I say Kyle Hendricks? Yeah. Well, David Ross is now the manager instead of the backup catcher.
That's true. The once-a-day catcher. Man, that's sad. It was time.
Yeah, I think it was the right move to make.
But what they got for those guys and what they've done to rebuild, I don't feel confident in yet.
I think we got some good prospects.
I think we got great prospects, but it's going to be another 3 years.
You're not going to see the results of those guys that you got, at least until maybe a year and a half.
Does Grandpa lose his job?
No, I don't think so.
Before these prospects make it?
I don't think so.
You think that David Ross is going to last 5 years?
As long as Jeb Hoyer is still there, I think Ross keeps the job. He just needs to keep them competitive.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll keep his job. I don't know that the fans will be happy waiting that much. I'm happy either way. I love the Bears. I love the Cubs. I support them no matter what. But I don't know that the Chicago fan base and the Chicago is also a hard place with media. They have a huge media there, and to face down that media, it's going to be a tough sell.
I could see the situation between Rick Renteria happening again. He was the guy that I kind of see maybe David Ross having the same situation that Quaddy and Renteria, but instead of being 2 different managers, just being one.
Yeah.
To where he's the guy that might get year 1 when they start seeing the prospects start coming through. But
if Buck Showalter's available, or if
somebody else becomes available, that's a better choice to take them to the next level. I could see David Ross being let go, saying, well, thanks for getting us through the rough years.
You got us here. Time for us to go get somebody that can get us to where we want to go. I think that's what's going to happen. So, speaking of that, let's get into who won what in the year in review. We have 2 A's that made the MLB World Series. Atlanta Braves and the Asterix.
Yeah.
The Houston, I call them Asterix. You can call them whatever you want, Rich.
Well, they are the Astros.
They're the Asterix.
Okay.
But for those that don't understand why I call them that, they cheated.
2 years ago.
They still cheated.
Okay. What will it take you to finally drop this? Is it you getting to attend a game and boo them?
Yes.
Or is it
Yes.
when all the players that were involved in that World Series winning team being elsewhere?
I don't even know if it's going to be that. I really don't. And it has nothing to do with the team anymore. I have no honestly, the team probably I don't care. It's how the MLB treated the team.
Okay.
My problem's with the MLB.
So for some strange reason, Carlos Correa or Jose Altuve or Alex Bregman, somehow for some strange reason, the Cubs signed them. You'd still cheer them. You wouldn't be there to boo them when they're in a Cubs uniform instead.
I might still yell out a F Altuve.
Okay.
I don't. At least the first time he's up to bat, I might yell an F Altuve.
Because, I mean, I have seen the MLB trade rumors saying that at least the Cubs are checking in on Carlos Correa, and he was one of the guys on that team.
Yeah, that would be rough on me. I mean, he's a Cub, so I'll still support him, but again, it'd be rough on me.
Okay. Your Super Bowl champion was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Chiefs.
Yep.
Very early in the 21 sports year, but
yep.
It did happen.
It happened in 2021.
It was a good game.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was awesome. It also in 2021, the LA in the bubble, Los Angeles beat the Heat.
I don't know what the series was, but yeah,
4-2.
Okay, the Lakers, LeBron James and company won the finals in the bubble. Another bubble final was the Lightning over the Stars.
Yep.
For the Stanley Cup.
And Kyle Larson wins your NASCAR Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Good year. I mean, all of the teams that won, I don't like LA. But other than that, all the other teams I okay with. Especially Tampa Bay is quickly becoming championship city.
They really are. The Rays. The
Rays
have done really well.
The Lightning. If the Rays can get back this year into form, this next year, if we have a season, yeah. We also have some sad news to talk about.
We do.
And this one might take a little while. We might actually hit our hour mark. We're sitting at 47 minutes right now, and I wasn't sure if we were going to hit our hour mark. But we got to talk about the saddest thing to happen in the NFL since Junior Seau killed himself.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
This is the saddest moment since then. And that is John Madden passed away. For a generation of people, for 2 generations of people, Madden is football. For our parents, he was the voice of football. He is what made football on TV legitimate. He didn't think it was legitimate, but what he did with Pat Summerall for all those years changed the NFL entirely. They birthed Fox NFL on Fox.
They sure did.
If it wasn't for those 2 guys on Fox on NFL on Fox probably isn't a thing right now. It is amazing what has happened there.
The telestrator.
All of it. John Madden is changed the way that we view football. And he changed the way we play football for those of us not talented enough to do it on the field. Yes,
with his creative input on creating a football video game that was actually accurate 11-on-11 football.
You don't say I'm playing NFL on Xbox or I'm going to play an NFL. You say I'm playing Madden. I'm playing Madden. Madden has become a noun that refers to a video game as much as it refers to a man.
And now you're even seeing references of that being made on telecasts.
Yeah.
When you see in the Madden documentary, which if you haven't seen it,
oh my goodness,
it's an hour and 15 minutes well spent.
You like watching it Christmas Day would have been amazing. I watched it last night for the first time, and it might have been the fact that it was 1 a.m. when we put it on.
Mm-hmm.
And it might have been my baby wasn't going to sleep, so I was slightly already emotional. I'm not ashamed to say I cried watching that documentary and that final set of scenes on that documentary. I'm not ashamed to say I cried during that.
Yeah, a little bit choked up.
It
was almost like watching. It was almost like
he got to watch his own funeral.
Life. This is your life.
He got to watch his own funeral. I don't know that personally, and this is going to sound slightly harsh to the family, I think John Madden should lie in state at the Super Bowl Hall of Fame, or at the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton for a year. Let people visit and mourn over him because he means that much to the nation. And he deserves the equivalent of a state funeral and all the pomp and circumstance. But I don't know that they could have done a better job. They could do a better job producing a funeral than the statements that were made for the documentary that aired Christmas Day. He dies 3 days later.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it'd be interesting to know when he was watching that and reacting to it, to know how. I mean, how long ago were his segments taped where he was making live comments, reacting to what people were saying, or making or talking.
He was still about, 85. Yeah. I mean, it was done this year. It was done within the last few months. Like, man.
It's sad. The NFL has said that they have asked all teams to take a moment of silence in Week 17 for him. But I think you got to admit they're probably going to do something at the Super Bowl for him.
Have to. I'm amazed at how. By the way, folks, if you haven't watched the documentary, watch it. Here's a couple of things. One, the amount that he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame as a coach. The amount he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as an announcer. And the amount he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for what he did for the video game.
He could have easily gone in for all three, as a contributor, as a coach, and as a broadcaster.
You can also make the argument that nobody has made as big of an impact on the NFL as John Madden did. Period. Nobody. Can you come up with somebody?
No. Not that big of an impact. You could individually you could probably make a case for, right, well, this so and so had a bigger impact as a broadcaster, or so and so had a bigger impact maybe as a coach.
I don't know anybody who Al Michaels, maybe the only person that deserves to be in the
Al
conversation.
Did other broadcasting work. Yeah. John Madden is just known for his work as a football commentator.
Yeah.
Any of the other broadcasters you could point to, well, Joe Buck has called World Series games and Super Bowls and NFL games.
Yes.
John Madden doesn't.
John Madden
his
doesn't
calling
do that.
card.
Yeah, that's all he does. And it was great. He talked about that he was an educator. Mm-hmm. Like he was a teacher. That was what his degree was in. And when I look back at watching the NFL on Fox with him teaching the nation football, when I see what he did in the game to allow you to learn play calling, if it wasn't for that game, would you know what a 4-6 defense really is?
No, not really.
Would you know the difference between a nickel package and a dime package?
Probably not.
If it wasn't for the game and his commentary on the on TV. By the way, I'm saying all this. Then you also look at the impact he had on the Raiders. You could make an argument that 3 of the spots in the NFL Mount Rushmore all belong to John Madden. If you're making a Mount Rushmore, you could say what he did as a coach and his expressionness, how expressive he was as a head coach, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Or he deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore. You could definitely say, in a completely different way, he deserves to be on Mount Rushmore as a commentator. And you could say he deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore as for his video game. Mm-hmm. 3 of the 4 spots on Mount Rushmore belong to John Madden. Who do you put in 4?
They'd probably have to be players, but you...
Yeah. But John Madden, man. So yeah, I am amazed at how awesome that documentary is. If you haven't watched it, watch it. We mourn for Virginia, we mourn for Joe, and we mourn for Mike, his sons and wife. We mourn with you guys, and a nation mourns with them. Now, Bears Nation has something to mourn as well. Not just the passing of John Madden, but of Bears reporter. And didn't he play for the team?
I'm not sure whether he played for the team, but he worked for ESPN as the Bears beat writer.
Yeah.
For the ESPN, but Jeff Dickerson.
Jeff Dickerson died this week.
The sad part about that is he lost his battle with colon cancer, but he lost his wife the year before to cancer as well.
Yeah.
So his kids are it's hard on the kids to lose both a mom and a dad within a year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so rough. And they were younger kids too, aren't they?
They were.
So, gonna be, yeah. So, with that being said, I think our sports talk is done for the year.
Yeah.
Or done for our year in review and all that. But we have one final thing that makes 2021 the worst year in ages. Betty White died.
Yeah. Betty White.
Now, I did see, and I'm not kidding, I think the best statement on it goes something like, only Betty White can pass away in this way. A person whose comedic timing was always unexpected, unprecedented talent, dies at the age of 99, and still leaves everybody wanting more.
Yeah. People magazine just had to leak their cover story of Betty White, how she made it to how she lives her life at 100. Yeah. How to make it to age 100. And technically she didn't make it.
Man, it was 3 weeks. 3 weeks before her birthday. By the way,
that's the type of cover story that you put out on the person's birthday.
Yeah.
And you don't leak the story. You don't leak it.
By the way,
just in case something like this happens.
Betty White, an Illinois native.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born in Oak Park, Illinois.
Mm.
So, with all that being said, I hope you had a blessed Christmas, and this year blesses you even more. Folks, we are so thankful for you to join the ride with us on the podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, go ahead and give us a subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Let's make 2022 the year Balls and Sticks takes off. So we want you to rate us. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. We do our best every week. If you want to let us know how we're doing, check us out on our Facebook page. You can comment on the videos. If you comment on the videos during the week, we will read it as a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
If you comment it live in show, where we try to do it about every week at about 10:30 in the morning is on Saturday mornings is our goal. We're not always perfect. I mean, we're still here at 12:46. We didn't start but an hour ago.
And if you watch us on YouTube, give us a subscribe, leave a comment, anything to help that build that algorithm to get us into your newsfeed, get us into your regular.
Tell us here if you're watching us on YouTube. Comment, give us a like, give this video a like first. Second, what I want you to do in the comments below, let us know your favorite John Madden memory.
Okay, John Madden memory.
Rich, I'm expecting you to do it too.
I'll try.
I should. Let's get your favorite John Madden memory, and we'll share some of those next week from the YouTubes.
Okay.
Rich, let's roll the outro.
I got a shout out for you first.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot about that. Yeah, my youngest nephew Reed had his birthday.
Okay, happy birthday, Reed. I think he's 1.5, or he's 2.
2.
He just turned 2. Happy birthday, Reed. Folks, we will see you next week at the normal time, and we'll be separated, but we'll still be together. God bless you. Let's roll that outro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.